Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got 4 replays in the Cold War Eastern Alliance Era 1 Tech Tree Medium Tank, the Object 430U. Now if you do like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the 430U, it is the new medium tank that is top of Era 1 for this T64 mini branch. What's it like as a tank? Well, it's just like the World War II one in the way that it plays. It's a solid heavium. It's got very good armour that bounces a lot of shots, unless it's the really high pen premium rounds. It's got a decent gun. It's got slow shell velocity with poor pen on the standard, but the premium pen is absolutely phenomenal, so that butchers everything. Its DPM is pretty good as well. Its mobility is pretty nice too. Overall, as a general top of the era vehicle, this is a very solid tank to play. You've just got to get used to the shell velocity being so poor, because it really does like to loop shots in, and also the slightly low standard pen for a top of the era. But apart from that, everything else about this tank is pretty damn solid, and it's a really enjoyable vehicle to be able to play and grind as you go towards the new T64 branch. So the Object 430U, it has a 55 km/h top speed, 18 km/h reverse speed, 600 horsepower engine, which is 14.57 horsepower per ton ratio, meaning you will get towards that 55 km/h top speed. It's not the most incredibly quick medium tank in the universe, as it is that more heavium playstyle, but you will get to 55 km/h. It's just a little bit sluggish to get there. And that mobility doesn't change from stock to fully upgraded, because this first replay is completely stock, and these stats are for the stock tank for this replay. But yeah, it doesn't change no matter what, so you get the same mobility when you're stock to fully upgraded. A 10% internal fire chances on the low end of fire chances, meaning it doesn't really get set on fire that often, and I haven't felt that much in this tank. Generally, I've been ammo-racked more than I've been set on fire, and that's because the ammo-rack feels really weak on this tank. But yeah, the fire chance isn't actually too bad at all. 40 degrees a second on the hull rotation with the stock tracks means it still turns pretty quickly on its tracks, which is quite nice. Ground resistances don't hold the tank back whatsoever, same as they don't on pretty much all Cold War vehicles. 481 meters of view range is pretty decent, but it's not the best for a tank in Era 1. Quite a few are hitting 500, but we are stock, so it's more than likely going to go up when we get fully upgraded. 29.9 degrees a second on the turret rotation speed is way slower than the tracks, and is same as the 430. It's a bit of a problem in that regard, and it can be just a bit annoying. 0.44 accuracy during rotation with the 1.92 accuracy during movement is pretty good with the accuracy during rotation. It means you might not actually need to run snapshot, because it is that good, and when you get it fully upgraded, it's even better. The 1.92 accuracy during movement, though, while stock, means the aim circle does bloom out quite a bit, as you're seeing here. But it's not horrific, and the aim time is a 2.08 second aim time, so when you are stock, it does take a little bit longer to get the gun fully aimed in than when you're fully upgraded, and the gun blooms out a little bit more. So when you do get fully upgraded, you will feel a little bit of difference in the gun handling and how much that aim circle becomes bigger and how quick it is to actually get ready to fire anyway. So it does get nicer. As you have 0.28 accuracy at 100 meters as well, which means this gun is fairly accurate and will hit a lot of the shots you have fully aimed. It's generally the shell velocity being so slow on this vehicle makes it feel derpier than it actually is. 5 degrees of gun depression is very, very Soviet, which means that it's not good gun depression, and you have to really think about the positions you're taking to get the most out of this gun depression, to get the gun down and hit the target. 7.11 second reload is 3.7k DPM, which is pretty solid DPM for an Era 1 vehicle, meaning that you can farm pretty hard and get damage racking up very, very quickly in this tank, which is definitely very nice. 225 pen on the standard APCR is low for a top of the era vehicle, meaning that it will struggle to pen tanks like the M103 and the IS-4M, which can be a bit of pain. 265 pen on the premium APCR, again, isn't the best in the universe, and a lot of end of era vehicles in Era 1 are starting to get that as their standard, so that can be definitely a bit of pain. It does get better on the Top Gun, but that 225 pen is the best standard pen you're actually going to get out of this vehicle, because it's the same on the Top Gun. It's just the premium pen gets way, way better. 795 meters a second shell velocity on the standard APCR, with 1007 meters a second shell velocity on the premium APCR is actually the best velocity you're going to get on this tank as well. The premium velocity is a lot better on this stock gun than the velocity on the Top Gun, as the Top Gun has that 795 meters a second shell velocity on both rounds, which, yeah, is very slow and adds to this tank feeling generally very derpy when you're firing, especially at range, as you have to give a lot of lead at distance to be able to hit those shots. But like I said, the gun generally does get better when you get fully upgraded, and we'll go through that in a minute when we get to the fully upgraded replays. But yeah, that replay there you saw was this tank being very, very stock, and it can still stand up for itself very, very well because you've got the nice armour, you've got the pretty decent gun handling, you've got the good DPM, and you hit quite hard. And we're finished with the 1 kill, 5.9k damage, the high caliber, the second class, for 1404 base XP. A pretty nice game there for the 430U, which, like I say, is the end of Era 1 vehicle that leads onto the T64. But now we're on to the second replay. In the second replay here, we are in the tank that is now fully upgraded. And, well, what do I run in terms of accruing equipment on the 430U to get these kind of stats? And the stats of it were fully upgraded, which we'll go over in a minute. Well, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, 6th Sense, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Rapid Aim, Deadeye, with the Advanced Loader, Gun Stabilizer, and Vents. Vents to get the best out of everything on this tank, so I can get the best aim time, the best DPM, the best accuracy, just to maximise everything I can possibly get out of it. The gun stabilizer to get the accuracy during rotation and movement down as low as possible, so this gun is always ready to go, and that I can just keep this DPM absolutely flowing. The advanced loader to get the best out of the reload, again, as you always kind of want to do, so I can get the best DPM possible and get that 3.7, nearly 3.8k DPM. Rapid aim to make the turret traverse better, as the turret traverse is very slow on this vehicle, and it's something that I really want to make better. It's why I don't run clutch braking, because the track traverse is already very good on this tank, and it would just make the difference between the two very, very massive, and I don't want that. All 3 gun perks to make sure this gun is as good as possible, but like I say, taking snapshots probably actually pretty overkill on this tank. You might want to run something else for sure, like clutch braking if you really wanted to, or supply conservation to get your food back faster, or if you ran smoke, get smoke back faster. Armour angling to reduce the amount of damage coming into the tank. It's really down to you and how you want to kit out the vehicle. But there's plenty of different ways you can set up the tank for sure. Deadeye for the memes, so that I can increase my chance of doing module damage by 6%. Again, pure memes. Superfluous perk, you don't really need to take it, but I just do it for the memes. And then Track Mechanic, because as you've seen so far in the first replay and what you're going to see in the future replays, I play very, very brawly in this tank, and it's nice to be able to get the tracks back on faster if they get blown off, especially since it happens quite often because we're in this sort of side-scrapey situation, and if I've already blown the repair kit to be able to get my tracks back on before, it's nice to be able to get the tracks back on way quicker with that Track Mechanic. So the 430U, now that we've got it fully upgraded, the mobility has stayed the same, as I said earlier. That doesn't change whatsoever with this tank. But your track traverse has got slightly better to 42 degrees a second. You've now got 503 meters of view range, so you've got 20 better view range, which is lovely. 0.34 accuracy during rotation, which, like I say, is absolutely fabulous. It means, yeah, you don't really need to take the snapshot if you didn't really want to. 1.61 accuracy during movement as well is 0.3 better than it was, which means the aim circle doesn't bloom out much at all when you move this tank, meaning the aim circle always stays small, and it doesn't take that long to be able to actually aim this gun in. And you have a 1.9 second aim time as well, which means that it doesn't take long to actually aim the gun in to get going anyway, which is definitely beautiful for the vehicle. 0.26 accuracy at 100 meters is also very, 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 very accurate, meaning that it does hit most of its shots when fully aimed, as long as they're not extreme distances where, like I say, the shell velocity does start to come into play. You've now got a 6.97 second reload, which is 3.7, nearly 3.8k DPM, meaning that you have a very nice DPM for an end of Era 1 vehicle. With 225 pen on the standard APCR, which, like I say, for an end of era vehicle is poor, generally, meaning you will struggle to pen quite a few of the vehicles like the IS-4 and the M103, and it just makes those kinds of tanks a bit of a pain to deal with. But you do have 348 pen on the premium APDS rounds, which is absolutely phenomenal and absolutely butchers everything you're going to face here in Era 1. And 795 meters a second shell velocity on these, all 3 rounds, realistically, means that it is very slow shell velocity and you have to give a lot of lead at distance to be able to hit your targets, which can be a bit of a pain. But as you saw there with that second game, we're finished with 1317 base XP, 4.5k damage, the second class. Fairly average game there for the 430U in Era 1 while fully upgraded. And I'll say, generally, this tank is just very enjoyable. It is a damn solid tank because you've got the nice mix of everything. You've got the decently hard-hitting gun at 440 Alpha. You've got the pretty damn good DPM at like 3.8k. You've got the good mobility of 55 kilometers an hour, which, like I say, you don't hit all the time. You're generally probably more averagely going between 45 to 55 in that region, you know, with some variation. But you've got good armour, which helps you to side-scrape really easily and bounce quite a few shots, but your upper plate bounces a good amount as well, your turret bounces a solid amount, and you've just got pretty damn good accuracy as well. So generally, if you fully aim your shots and give a good amount of lead, you're going to hit your shots. The only two real big downsides to this tank, well, I say two, there's probably three really, the third being the gun depression, but that is a very, very Soviet problem, is the fact that your shell velocity is so poor at 795, which is annoying, but yeah, that's one of the balancing factors probably, and that standard pen at 225 being so low, which, yeah, like I say, it means you don't really struggle to pen a lot of the medium tanks, the light tanks, all that sort of stuff. It just means you start to struggle when you're going against stuff like the M103s, the IS4s, even the IS3M can be a bit of pain at times as well. And some of the M48s too, you know, and the T34. They means you bounce shots on those that you probably, with most other end-of-era vehicles, you expect to go through quite easily. You start to struggle a little bit with this vehicle to be able to go through that. It's also a bit annoying that your standard pen is so much worse than the previous vehicle, because the Object 430 that you've already ground through before it has 264 on the standard pen, which means that that doesn't struggle to pen anything, realistically. Whereas this one does, which, yeah, it's a bit of a downgrade in that regard, but then you've gained so much more, to be fair, for the 430U, that makes it so much nicer than the standard 430. So this third game, sorry, not second game, this third game here, we're on this map, which is Serene Coast, and we're up to 3.8k damage so far, with 5091 assistance damage, and we're just making the aggressive push down the one line now, because, well, we'd basically done everything that I thought I could do from that position at C1, and I decided I wanted to poke forward and see if I could spot anything else along this line, and that way I could feed myself assistance damage from the TD that's at D1, but also I could just progress this fight. And because the mobility is nice on this tank and the armor holds up pretty damn well, I was very confident in trying to make this kind of push that I wasn't really going to lose too many hit points if I did do it. So we find the T95E3 that's sitting at the back of the map. We put a shot straight through his upper plate, and we get ourselves down below where the 268 could actually get his gun down here, and try to pressure the, I think it's a 430 and the T95E3 that was on this corner. We're also keeping our eye on that 268 though, because I don't want the 268 to just drive over and absolutely smash us in the side, because especially if he's firing heat, yeah, the heat rounds on that vehicle aren't are no joke. They're really no joke. And if they can find a way to pen you, they will go through you, which, yeah, you've got to be careful of when you're facing that vehicle. So we end up bouncing a shot off the 430. We take a hit from the T95E3. I decide to try and side scrape out a little bit easier so that the T95E3 can't pen me as much. The 430 starts backing off, though. So I decide, okay, with the 268 still behind the trains, we're just going to push now into this 430. And because I'm in this little ditch, all he should be able to see of me currently is my turret, which is my strongest point. So he will actually struggle to be able to go through me. I've got nice DPM, which means that I should be able to take a lot of his hit points away. As long as he doesn't actually pen me, we should be okay. So we go for the shot through the upper plate. We damage his fuel tanks, which is... it happens all the time for the 430. It does like getting set on fire. Another shot through the lower plate there, putting him on 2 HP, meaning that I should be able to kill this guy. I give him my side because he's firing heat. And in fact, he's not firing heat. He's firing HE. And of course, with my standard shell, I bounce on the 430, meaning he gets another shell of HE in, and we fire HE into the underside of his track there so that it splashes him and kills him, and we're not just chancing another random annoying bounce. Switch back to the standard APCR so that we can go after Mr. 268 here, but realistically I probably should have loaded the 348 APDS rounds, which would have made it a little bit easier to be able to go through even his superstructure. We load the HE because I was hoping to get an HE round straight through the back of the 4005, but the moment he got shot, he was like, yeah, no, I'm out. Bye. Good night. I'm out of here. And so we didn't get the HE round, and we tried to be able to splash the top of his little cupola, though, for the 268, and the shell just went, you know what, I'm just going to fly straight over the top of him. But we did pen him with the APCR, which is fine, because we hit the weak spot of Mr. 268, and then he gets shut down by the Throngver. And we finished the game with a really nice total there for the Object 430U, finished with the epic victory. The 4 kills, 7.2k damage, 1846 base XP, Charlie the Unicorn, carrying us to the victory there with the first class, the 1846 basic XP. A really nice game there for the 430U, showing off what it's perfectly capable of. Showing off the DPM, how nice that is. The gun can occasionally be derpy, but a lot of that, like I say, is the shell velocity and the weird way that the shells can loop at times. The mobility is good to help you be aggressive, with the armor bouncing a good amount of damage, and you can just farm pretty hard in this vehicle when you get yourself allowed to be able to do it, and it's definitely nice in that regard. And when you need to hold a position, that's what this 430U can do very, very well. Like I said, the only two downsides are the fact that you do have that poor penetration at 225, and well, yeah, the gun depression is also a bit of a pain as well, but like I say, Soviet problems, you know. And the velocity on the main rounds as well are just poor, which means you get shot. They do loop. That's what it feels like. When you fire it, it feels like you're spooning the shots because the shell velocity is that bit slow, which is what you get with that effect you've just seen me firing at the T95E3. So we're pushing up. I've seen only a T95E3 so far crossing that little gap. So what I want to do is try and get on the corner and side scrape out to go after him. But we see a 4005. You know what? We always take the opportunity to get shots into the 4005. Then we load the premium APDS rounds because we want to be able to go through Mr. M103, which we can go straight to the front of his turret, just like you've seen there if we're firing 348 pen APDS rounds. And even firing the 225 pen standard APCR rounds, if we had the lower plate of the M103, we could still ricochet off that guy's lower plate quite easily with that as well, which is just a very annoying thing, because the M103's, or the M103A1 in Cold War has much better armor than the even standard M103 in World War II, but yeah, there we go. So with this, we're aiming for that turret roof on the M103A1 because we can hit that cupola and go through it. Hopefully get a shot through the side of him there because we're putting him down to a position where he could be a one-shot. Get straight up close to the rock as much as possible so that we could try and bounce him, but he puts a heat round straight through our upper plate. So while he's reloading, I make the most of that chance to go put a shot in, put him down to a one-shot, try and close the distance as much as possible, and he bounces off our upper plate this time with his heat round, and we end up finishing him off. We don't need the premium APDS rounds anymore, so we load the standard APCR shells, put a shot into the side of the 430, which is down below, because I still have that fear that that 430 is going to drive around my side and start trying to put shots in. So we managed to snap a shot into that 4005. I would really like to load HE rounds to put into that guy, because if we can whittle this guy down as fast as possible, that'd be great. I'm just trying to use the dead wreck cover in front of me to be able to make it as hard a shot as possible for the 4005. We bounced the 430 who came after us, but I'm not really too fussed about the 430 at this point. I just want to get rid of the 4005. So I'm just making sure to angle my armor as much as possible against this rock, side scrape it, make it as difficult as possible for this 430 to be able to get a shot in. And I'm really quite hoping that some of my teammates that are behind me will actually come and help me, because I've got 3 tanks in front of me. And without someone else helping to be able to put damage into these guys and also distract them, it means that I can't be as effective as I want to be. So with the 430 getting distracted and going after someone else, we go after Mr. T95E3 now. The 4005 is actually moved off, so we don't have to worry about the 4005 anymore. So if we can get rid of the E3, then we can go after the 430. So we put a shot into the E3 there. Now we can go after the 430. With the medium tank and TD behind me, I thought, okay, let's go in. They should help me out if we get rid of him and push him out into the open. But in fact, that's not happened, and we've been a bit too aggressive here, realistically. But he is a one-shot, and he's not, because we end up low-rolling. Well, it wasn't quite a low one-shot, but we did low-roll, meaning we couldn't quite kill him. We were always going to take another hit there from the 430, and we end up finishing him off. There's still 9 tanks left in this game, so it's still on a knife's edge, really, and we're at 6.5k damage with 171 assistance. We go over, hello Mr. 4005, and finish off the 4005 there for our 4th kill of this game. There's an M24 Chaffee at K3, which is random. He just got spotted out of nowhere. So we're going to go in to get rid of Mr. Chaffee, who is still there, randomly. Hello, Mr. Chaffee. Well, okay then. I'm not afraid of this Chaffee whatsoever. I know I'm going to bounce every shot that this Chaffee ever wants to put in, because he can't pen me unless he gets my side or rear. And the 430 finishes off the Chaffee there, up to 7.8k damage with that 4 kills. And there's now only 6 tanks left on the enemy team. We get spotted as we come round. We end up doing tracks only to the Char 40T. That's really unfortunate, because that tank has absolutely no armor, and we probably should have penned that. But because we tracked him, the 4005 deletes him, and we get all of that juicy assistance damage. Now there's only 4 tanks left on the enemy team, and we know where pretty much all of them are. At least 2 of them we're down on the B789 area. There's a TD, which is the 4005 in the middle, and I'm assuming the other one is somewhere down on that BCA flank as well. So we're just going to use the mobility of this vehicle to be able to get in and try and get an extra shot or two of damage. And once again, this is where this tank is quite nice, because you have that armor to bounce shots, you have the flexibility to do that, you can punch quite hard with the 440 Alpha, but then you have the mobility to go alongside it, which means you can fly into position to be able to get extra shots of damage, keep ahead of your team, all that good stuff, which is definitely a nice thing for Mr. 430U. So there's still only the 3 medium tanks left. There's the Turan 5SH down at A7. We've just seen the 430 get spotted, so we poke round the corner, aim up the shot, put the shot straight through his lower plate, and he doesn't see us. I'm quite surprised at that. I fully thought he would have been able to see us as soon as we fired that shot. But he never set our sixth sense off. So he never actually spotted us when we fired there. Which makes me think that possibly that guy actually has a dead commander. Because, I feel like he should have seen me there. There is no way that he should have seen me. We fire again at his lower plate, but that one he is fully round the corner. We could just see the lower plate of his lower plate. We're aiming this time to pen that lower plate, but we ricochet. He does see us with true vision there, but he doesn't spot us. So again, I'm fully convinced that that guy has a dead commander, which means his view range is extremely low. He hasn't managed to spot us. I'm just waiting now to see if he'll actually drive around the corner, but, well, unfortunately for me, he just stayed hidden, meaning I couldn't get another shot in him. We were really unfortunate with that bounce off his lower plate. If I'd been firing the 348 pen APDS rounds, we would have gone straight through and got an extra shot of damage there, but, no, it is what it is. And there's only one tank left on the team. It is the Turan 5SH, but we are going to cap, and in fact, we managed to kill the Turan 5SH before we capped, and we finished the game with a really nice total there for the Object 430U. Finished with the victory. The 4 kills, 8.7k damage, 1857 base XP with the 1163 assistance. The first class, the sniper, the high caliber, with that 1857 base XP. A really nice game there for the Object 430U. And if you're thinking that should be an ace, it's because this tank will have currently its expectations for its ace tanker rewards, same as the MOE expectations. They are set to the highest of its class and tier, which would be the end of era medium tanks for era 1. But there you go. So that's the 430U, which is, like I say, is a really damn solid tank. It's really enjoyable to play when you get there, and it's a nice easy grind when you get up to the T64. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success.